inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch. No, real women don't. 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 Real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because mental muscle is necessary for implementing successful business strategies. It's time to learn how to beast your business no matter what life throws at you. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we discuss the BS we face on a day-to-day basis.
So once again, welcome. This is August Crenshaw. I'm the host of Real Women Don't Bitch podcast, and I'm coming in here today because I had such a profound moment. And while I could direct you guys to the podcast, I'm actually going to air this one live. I got so many people that get an opportunity to listen to me on different distribution channels. Yes, Dana. Yes, you can catch me in the mornings now. So I titled this one, A Little Girl is Running Your Business. You know, I want to challenge your mindset. You know, I'm here to break some very stubborn spirits in some of my sisters, because you don't realize that success is on the other side of your stinking and thinking. And you're like, I don't understand it, August, why I keep on getting distracted. I don't understand it, August, why I keep on making the same bad decision. I don't understand it, August, why I can't do something differently. And I'm here to tell you that you've been conditioned by convenience since your younger years. You've been conditioned by convenience since your younger years. And see, a lot of you think that, oh, when I have an opportunity before me, if I don't take this one, I'll get the next one that comes around. Or, if I don't take this one, then, I can always try something different. And you think that time is on your side, but it's the one thing that we don't have control of. And it is not a renewable resource. Time is the one thing we don't have control of, and it is not a renewable resource. So I'm telling you now, Queens, anybody that chimes in live, this is something that you want to share in your communities and you want to share on your main pages, because people need to hear this. So let me help you. Let me paint a picture. Just imagine you being a young girl, making decent grades in school, being extremely talented, and then getting an opportunity to go to the college of your choice on a free scholarship, or predominantly, almost fully paid. And maybe because of where you grew up at and where you come from, you think to yourself, I can do something different. I don't really know if I want to go straight to college after high school. And so you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to pass that opportunity. Now, in the young girl's mind, when she makes that decision, she's thinking that, if I don't do that, then I can do this and everything is going to be okay. And she doesn't know that about 10 more years from now, when this decision is upon her, her life is going to look like shit. And so think about it. Imagine you being that young woman who had the opportunity to go to college right after high school. You decide that that's not what you're going to do. You pass up a full scholarship, and then you decide that, I'm going to get out here and I got great skills and I can make money and I don't have to have a degree in order to be able to do these things. So you go and you get a couple of jobs and you realize that you're really not the employable type. You don't like working for other people. And it's hard for you to hold on to a job because you're a very talented young woman. And it seems like you excel so rapidly in different organizations, but they don't seem to want to give you a raise or let you off. And you realize that you don't really have the freedom that you thought that you would get with your so-called adulthood. You have responsibility. And so after about 2 or 3 years go by of you trying to make this work, plus you probably decided to be grown and gone and maybe either get you a car or get you an apartment, you're kind of stuck in this world between, I don't really want to adult, but I'm in an adulting position. And so you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. But maybe somewhere in between there as well, you got pregnant. And so you had yourself a baby and you're realizing that, no, you know what, I've got to make better decisions now, because now the decisions that I'm making is not just impacting me, it's also impacting my offspring. So you decide to go back to school and you think that, oh, well, I can still try to apply to, get the scholarships or whatever it is that I'm looking for. And you apply and you realize they don't come like that anymore, but they'll easily give you loans and you can do an accelerated program. And maybe it's only going to take you 3 years and you decide that you're going to you that. And so you go to school and you've stacked on about 3 more years to that 2 to 3 years that you've already been trying to figure this shit out. And before you know it, your young 18-ish year old self is 25, 26, and you're like, dang it, I'm almost 30. And remember the kind of things we used to say to ourselves when we were 18 years old. We would say to ourselves, by the time I'm 30, I'm not going to live like my family. I'm not going to be like my parents. I'm going to make better decisions. I'm going to have more money. And matter of fact, I've seen people become billionaires by 30, and we start declaring that we're going to be something and we're going to have something, but 30 is fastly approaching. And so you finally graduate and you have the degree and you get the job and you get excited because you can make $20 an hour. But then when you realize how much inflation has caused the cost of rent to go up, and your car that you had finally broke down and you got to go back to get one, and you really didn't know anything about handling finances. And so now you're getting that car loan with, a double digit, 18, 19, possibly even 26% interest rate. And you're doing everything you can to survive. And now those loans aren't in the firm anymore. And you have to actually pay, and you realize that the job that you have can't even pay for the loans that you've acquired to be able to get the job that you have. And here it is now, before you know it, after pushing, pressing, and grinding at 30 years old, you realize that your life has not gone the way you wanted to, but it all started with a decision. So you could have came out of college debt free. You could have started your life a little bit differently. You could have been humble. You could have waited. But see, your decision that you made followed you for a minimum of 10 years. This is the part most of you all are missing. And so then you get out here and you realize that those gifts that had laid dormant, that you set aside because you were following a different plan, want to come back up in you. And then you decide that you want to be a business owner, and you get out here in these streets and you're desperate to make money. So you'll do whatever it takes. And so you peddle your gifts out here and you put a price point on them, and you're able to scrape up $1,000, $2,000, maybe $3,000 in your business, or just enough to make a living so you don't have to work for anyone else, but you don't even really necessarily know how to function in a business, and a spirit of survival has ruled you. And that is how you end up getting to the place where you are at least bringing in a relatively decent amount of money, but you're still not living life on purpose, and you're not in the sphere of the dreamers. You're not in the sphere of the people that create their own realities. Because see, at 18 years old, you told yourself a reality of millions and richness and doing things your own way, but you didn't realize the reason why you didn't get there by the time you were 30 was because of immature decisions. You made decisions based off of what a little girl wants, because most of us are not conditioned by our parents to begin to already think that we need to go ahead and make decisions based on our future. They're not grooming us. Many of us, we learn how to pay bills and do shit like that from the school of hard knocks. And then you take that same mentality into your business. You don't really know how to manage your money. You don't know what you're doing. And so you don't even necessarily have your business set up right, but you're going to learn everything you need to learn from the school of hard knocks. And so now you operate out of a spirit of fear, because so many things have not gone the way that you want them to go, but you never sat down and looked at that young girl and said, you know what, things didn't go the way you wanted them to go because you didn't actually have a plan. You didn't actually have a process. You just jumped out there on an immature decision of what you wanted, but you didn't decide to ride with the discipline that's required in order to make the reality of your life manifest. And so many of us, we come from situations, not everybody, but many of us, we come from situations where we were the black sheep in the family. We come from situations where we've witnessed abuse, our mothers. We've seen our daddies be the abuser or the boyfriend or the stepfather. We come from not such privileged, times in our lives where maybe, as black women, we didn't necessarily have the same opportunities that Sarah, Amanda, and Becky had. And then here we are trying to do something or be something better, but we don't even realize that we are numbed out by ghettoisms, by city living, or the limitations of our environment. And so a lot of you, because you press through some of those limitations, that is your mindset as it pertains to being successful in business. Well, what if I'm here to tell you that pressing through isn't good enough? Because a lot of people will say, well, it don't matter if I'm from the hood, you know what I'm saying, because I can press through. It's not just a pressing through, Queens. It's about showing up in the spirit of excellence. See, one thing I know about myself, and I know many of you can identify with this, is that August was always excellent. Now, I did get caught up in the little girlisms, the ghettoisms, but when other kids were outside playing, I used to sit in a house and I used to be like, I'm going to master this math. It was really embarrassing to me to go to a desegregation school and to barely be able to get C's and D's in my classes when I came from a city school making straight A's. And so I would sit down and the teacher would, give us the even number questions, but the odd answers would be in the back of the book. And I would do those odd problems over and over and over and over again until I got them right. And once I mastered the process of following the steps, then I would do the even number assignments. See, inside of August, there was always a place of greatness that always wanted to succeed. I had a grandmother that had an 8th grade education, so she was not able to help me with my homework. I had aunties that were preoccupied with other things in life. They weren't thinking about helping me with my homework. I had a mother that gave me up at the age of 18, and she was raising 4 of the kids and wasn't adamantly fighting to get me. So I didn't have any other options. I had a father who was always preoccupied with something else to do. Matter of fact, no disrespect to my dad, but at the end of the day, he was shacking up with another woman, taking care of her daughter, but not taking care of his own. So I had no other options. But see, I had to decide to rest in the spirit of excellence and figure out how I was going to make shit work. And I'm not saying that I made all of the best decisions, but it's the spirit of excellence, even when we live in very troublesome times, that allows us to evolve. But most of us, we don't try to evolve out of the spirit of excellence. We find ourselves participating in mundane activities to numb us out. And that's why many of us, we get into the habit of habitually needing to smoke weed, habitually needing to drink, habitually needing to make sure we getting a nut off and laying up with a nigga who don't even necessarily love us. And I've been down those roads too. And so those types of things, that mindset of numbing, is what happens, and it comes into your business. So now here you are as a grown woman, and you may have even carried some of those same attributes into your current life. You are with people that don't give a fuck about you. You do extracurricular shit to numb you out, and maybe you don't. But at the end of the day, as it pertains to running your business, there's a numbing factor. And that numbing factor, it comes up in the way that you show up in your business, the decisions that you make, and what you decide to do and what you decide not to do. And so many of you have looked at me throughout the years and you have said, why is August doing all of that shit? It doesn't take all of that to run a summit. It doesn't take all of that to run a podcast. It doesn't take all of that. You don't have to show up live like that. You don't have to do videos like that. So many different things. But what you did not understand was that somewhere in the darkness of wanting to be successful, rather than find the shortcut and numb out and try to get the grade for participation, I decided that I would do whatever the fuck it took in order to get wherever it is I had to go. Because no longer was a little girl going to run my decisions. No longer was I going to be numbed out by the decisions of life and say that at least I was doing something. I was going to say that I was doing everything that I could in order to get the desired results that I'm looking for. See, when you don't want to press through and do what you got to do no matter what in your business, that means that a little girl is running your decisions. And you know exactly what it looks like to woman up. Because see, we woman up for our children. There are a lot of things that many of us, we will not have done. But once we have kids, we work that piece of shit job. We are humble. We take the blows from the boss because we don't want to do anything to lose that opportunity to be able to be employed, to put food on the table. And so then you get stuck in survival mode. You get stuck in living in that place that you were when you were a little girl, where all you do is at least you maintain. But when you decide to become an entrepreneur, you have said that there's something so much greater. There's something so much greater. And you don't strive and you don't press and you don't push. See, there's a little piece of you that can still be a little girl, but it has to be the pure version of you. Not the little girl in the hood, in the streets, doing whatever the fuck it was she wants to do. It has to be the little girl that was born before the dreams were tainted. It has to be the little girl, like when the Bible says that you have to become as a child in order to receive the kingdom of heaven. That means you need to get back to the pureness of spirit. When you were able to dream and when you were able to believe, but then you have to mix that with the spirit of duality and say, but what does it look like to show up as a grown woman? I am so tired of talking to women who have no vision. What you have is a strong desire to get out of the situation that you're in, and that is called survival mode. When I ask women, what do you do? Who do you serve? How much is it worth? Many of you can't even say what it's worth. You have to only rely on research. You have to only rely on the permission that someone else tells you of what it is that you can do. Meanwhile, there's somebody out here who's saying that in order to talk to me for 1 minute, you need to give me $100. because you don't have the ability to assess your own value. You have not given yourself the freedom to go back into saying, you know what, I have the right to declare and decree whatever it is that I want for my life, and that's what I'm going to get. I asked a woman the other day, I'm like, hey, what do you want? She was like, well, I know at the end of the day, I don't want to charge less than this. Don't, you started off with what I don't want. You didn't start off with what I do want. You can't, you listen to me. There's something wrong when we cannot even articulate that we want to feel sand going and crawling through our toes. Because most of us, we've had experiences. You've been that one lucky child that got that trip where you were able to go. Like that was me. I remember going to Camp Minnewaca. I was a part of the compact team at Parkway West High School, and Camp Minnewaca was off of the shores of Lake Michigan. And I remember polar bearing, jumping in that cold ass water at 6 o'clock in the morning and damn near catching some type of cold, a sore throat. Being in the camps with staying in the cabins with no windows and no fucking doors and sleeping in sleeping bags. And so I've had ounces and pieces of experiences. And those pieces of experiences was God still trying to let you see and know, even when you were a little girl, of the possibilities. And you got to dig back inside of that person. You got to find that person and go to the possibilities. You can want a 5,000 square foot house, a 10,000 square foot house. You can want to ride in a vehicle debt free. You can want your student loans to be gone. You can want all of those things. And then when you have faith, you also have to have a very fierce nature that comes from the spirit of a warrior that says, I'm going to get everything I want because I fucking deserve it. I'm going to get everything I want because my children deserve it. I'm going to get everything I want because my children's children deserve it. Most of you, you're not even saying what you want. You're saying what you think you need to have to make do in order for you to at least be able to leave a little something, versus actually experiencing the window of heaven and pouring out a blessing that is so heavy to receive that your cup cannot even retain it, that because your cup is running over. You say these things, but yet you do not reside in the spirit of expectation that your cup is going to run over. And it's because you are in a microwave mindset that wants shit right now. When you're a little kid, you want shit right now. I want candy right now. No, mommy says you have to eat breakfast. No, mommy says you need to eat lunch first. I want a snack. No, we don't have snacks for breakfast. That's the kind of mindset that you're bringing to the table, that kind of little girl. But I promise you, I guarantee you that if you could dig deep into the recesses of your soul and say, let me pull that thing out that is so determined to reverse and obliterate all of the decisions that I made from yonder and say, I'm going to have something different, that you can absolutely do it. Many of you could change your life if you would just be consistent for 30 days, then for 60 days, then for 90 days, then for 120, then for 150, then for 180, then for 210, then for 240, then for 270. Are you hearing me? But this is not something that you get into because you're looking for a moment of freedom. You're not looking for a moment to breathe. You have got to learn to lean into this pressure. You have got to learn to say, you know what? I'm not being taken advantage of. Life is not dealing me a bad deck. But every single time I had an opportunity to make a critical decision, I went left when I should have went right. When a critical decision is in front of you and you don't make it, when you're at that pivotal point in your life, you got at least a decade to reap the repercussions of that decision. See, too many of you are running around here moving from a spirit that basically says, I got time. I got time. No, you don't. You're going to be like the children in the wilderness, where your opportunity to receive your land of milk and honey is going to end up you being a wanderer. You're going to wander because that's what you're conditioned to doing. You're going to wander in your current state of being instead of saying, I'm going to actually fight for what I want. And believe that the universe is always conspiring in the background for me to get whatever it is that I'm looking for. Listen to me. Listen to me and listen to me well. You can and you will have whatever you want when you decide to attack the demons that are inside of you, when you decide to overcome your damn self. It's literally just that simple. When you say, I'm going to show up no matter what, but see, some of you all, you have the audacity. You have the audacity to try to dictate to like what your challenge should look like. Your challenges are not coming here because they're trying to break you. Your challenges are coming because they are here to make you. If you are a financial coach, you're going to get challenged in your finances. If you are a marriage coach, you are going to be challenged in your marriage. If you're a parenting coach, you're going to be challenged with your children. If you're a trauma coach, your challenge is going to creep back up on your ass. Don't you all think that my mindset is what gets challenged the most? But I have conditioned myself that no matter what comes to me, that this is mine. This is mine. Nothing and no one else can have this but me. So when the obstacles come, you got to show up no matter what. And you've got to realize that you made it this far at your level of expertise. And when the challenge came and you were a financial coach, but your emergency fund got knocked out, and so now you feel less than, you say, okay, well, other people didn't have an emergency fund. But just in case this type of tragedy comes to me again, how do I level up, especially if it's even worse? Because what greater thing do I do? If you're a parenting coach and you're like, I have my children under wraps, I was doing such a great job, and then they hit this age bracket, and now this seems like they're out of control. Now you have to test those principles on a higher level in order to manifest the expectation. It doesn't get easier. You either get stronger or you surrender. You either get stronger or you surrender. So you're not a little girl anymore. If you did have daddy, you don't get to run to daddy and sit on his lap and he gets to kiss you when you scraped your knee. You're not a little girl anymore. Ain't nobody gonna pat your head and tell you that it's gonna be all right, because the bills and the responsibilities are still going to be there. You were birthed as a warrior. And particularly to the Black women that are meant to follow me, you understand that that spirit in you needs to rise up. I challenge you all to go look up the Proverbs 31 woman and look up the word virtuous. Virtuous is for a warrior. It's for a woman of valor. We're thinking virtuous in the form of good deeds and doing good works, where God is saying, I'm commissioning my sisters to come out and to actually fight and to actually pursue the possibilities to show other young women and other people, period, even outside of our race, what is possible. But you've got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision. And so some of you that follow me, you look at me every single day and you're like, I want that tenacious spirit. I want the business acumen. I want the ability to show up with that level of authenticity, because see, in the back of my mind, I know that I be playing just a little bit. I still don't say it and make it as plain as I should. But every time you get a lump sum of money and every time you get an opportunity, you relieve the pressure. You'd rather pay an extra month off your mortgage. You'd rather get an extra note off of that car. You'd rather pay a bill up for the year. But them bills are still going to circulate around and they're still going to be there. See, you all don't understand the level of sacrifice that you put into your next move is because you're actually banking on investing in something that has a return. There's no return in paying an extra mortgage. Oh, I'm sorry. You might get a little bit of interest for paying it early, but shit, you've been barely teeter-tottering paying your mortgage on time any damn way. You still ain't balanced out all the times. You done barely paid it before you got the late fee charge on the 16th. Come on now. I know, Queens. That car depreciated with value when you pulled it off the lot. You trying to figure out how to pay that fucking car for, but that car is not going to pay you back. Stop rationalizing based off of immature instincts and start saying that for once you actually fucking believe in yourself, that you're going to invest in yourself, you're going to couple that between your genius and my genius, and you're going to fucking decide to elevate. There is no other option. You got to learn to believe in yourself again, and that you put your money where your mouth is. You make your mindset match your mouth so that you can begin to manifest. So wherever that little girl is that thought she was running your business, I'm going to need you to kick her to the curb. And I'm going to need you to stand up at a higher level. And I'm going to need you to show up no matter what. So I'm going to get ready to get out of here. And I just want to always thank you all for being here with me. Go to www.workwithaugust.com. Get yourself set up so that you can go ahead and see what I'm about and get yourself a strategy session, because I'm going somewhere else, Queens. And I'm not going to leave anybody behind. You're either going to come with me or you're going to decide to stay behind. But I'm not leaving anybody. That's the decision that you have to make. So while you're here with me, go ahead and go there. Thank you all for tuning in live. For those of you that listen to the podcast, thank you for tuning into the podcast. And in the meantime, in between time, I love you all. And I'm going to get out of here. Deuces.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless, signing out. Deuces!
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you.